Welcome everybody to Project You, Project Me, the FTG guide to self-belief and self-coaching. Why not come along and listen to people like you, people like me, leaving legacies for your future. So hey, how are you, Joe? Welcome to Project You, Project Me. How's your kind of day going?
It's good. It's going very busy, but happy to be here and happy to try and help some other people trying to transition.
Yeah, fantastic. And it's all about the police today, everybody. So, that collaboration we've got with Blue Light Leavers. So it's fantastic to have you here. I know that we've had a good chat a few times and I've just been discussing some of the things that you've been doing, which is all really exciting. But tell me about Joe, first of all, kind of when did you join the police? A little bit about yourself, really.
Yeah, so I joined Nottinghamshire Police in 2005. I then went and left in December 2021 as a temporary sergeant. I obviously transitioned and moved out of the policing world after doing all my time on response. Loved response. But I think in the end, all parts of it get to us in the end. So transitioned out, went into insurance for a little bit. Didn't like it, not for me. So I've now gone into project management through the FDM group, who take on ex-forces as well as police and emergency services, and now working with a banking client as a project manager.
Oh, FDM. So FDM, interesting company. We get lots of questions on those. And it is quite a, I didn't realize police went into FDM. Actually, we get quite a lot of people who want to go into that and go to the insight days and stuff. Probably
Yeah.
be quite interesting for us to do a bit of work with FDM if we could. So, you better put something in there for us, maybe.
Yeah, I'm sure I can open that up for you as well. We've already done that with the Blue Light Leavers. Yeah, I'm sure we can get a collaboration going with you guys as well. They were military, but then they recently opened up to police as well. So I did my course just back end of last year. And like I say, now with a large banking company.
Yeah, and loving it, apparently.
Loving it, yeah. Really loving it.
So when I talk about transition and leaving the military, clearly the same kind of thing happens when you're leaving the police force and things like that. I talk about two things. I talk about the sleepwalker versus the hunter.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you can work out in your mind what that actually means. So when you were leaving the police, what were you?
I was probably a little bit of a sleepwalker, to be fair, until you finally kind of realise that it's not as it's made out to be. I think it was very similar to the military for what you talk about, actually. And I went through your stuff that you sent across with regards to it. And it's very, very similar in the circumstances of what do you want to do?
Yeah.
What can we do? Where do our skills translate into? All those types of things. And it was just like, where do I start? I was really, really slow at it. And don't get me wrong, my CVs were absolutely terrible. But you've got to start somewhere. And I think the worst thing is because as a police officer, you're told that not to go on social media, not to go and connect with people that you don't know. So that's what we never did. We never went onto social media. But to be fair, LinkedIn has been one of the best things that I've got onto and done, and I wish I'd have done it a lot sooner before I left.
Policy.
It's not policy, but it's more for safety reasons, and I imagine the military gets this a lot as well. So when others deal with members of the public, if you have your profile picture on there, if you have your name and things on there, you can be researched by people. And especially if it's an open and it's not private, they can get a lot of information about you. Which do you want somebody that you've just gone and arrested for, I don't know, murder or rape or whatever, to come around knocking on your door because they figured out where you live through social media? No, thank you. So we're very, very closed off to social media because it's drilled into you quite a lot with regards to the risks of that type of thing. So yeah, it's not Facebook, thankfully. LinkedIn isn't. and they are quite open to cops being on there. But I understand people's reluctance, especially officers, with being on LinkedIn. But it is a brilliant place to be, especially when you want to transition out, to get networking and to especially just network with the likes of other cops as well. That's what I kind of started off doing, with just networking with other cops, or cops that had transitioned out. And well, in the end, I think that even probably led me to you.
Yeah, well, it's interesting when you look at there's no policy. The military have got the same problems.
Yeah.
Clearly it's in a different arena, but then problems do exist where people can research you and find out who you are. So
Yeah.
you've got the kind of those security risks, I guess. So it's how tight you are with your social media. Lots of military people aren't even on social media, and I guess that's the same in the police. But one of the things we do say to service leavers, people who are leaving, is you've got to be all over it, like you've just said, because the people at the top of the military, for example, I do see a lot of police at the top as well. They're all on it.
Yeah.
So why is that? All the people down the bottom aren't, but all those at the top are. What's the reasons behind that? Something going on there.
Yeah, they're obviously more aware of it than what we are with regards to LinkedIn, and the networking abilities as to how it all works, and how it's good for you really to start networking with other individuals, that can help you to meet your goals if you've got them with regards to transition out, or even if you just to give you ideas of things that you've never thought that you could do. I never even knew about FDM group until I met somebody on LinkedIn through it.
Yeah.
And hence I found out about it and ended up with a new role that I absolutely now love.
Absolutely.
So it is well worth it, well worth networking. Like I say, even if you're not sure about the security side aspects of it, just linking with your own networks, military, police, the ones that have done it and left, because you'll know that they're safer than the ones that aren't. But at least it's a way to start. And you've always got the blocking ability, of course.
Of course. Well, brands everything, Joe. And the reason the hierarchy are on there is because they're feather in their own nest.
Yes.
They realize very quickly that if they can connect with as many good people as they can at those levels, then they're going to walk straight into something. So military people need to do the same things, and so do police officers who are leaving as well.
Yeah.
Interestingly, really loving the FDM link and the way that's came together. So if FDM are doing that, that means other companies are probably doing that, which means there's a lot of similarities. Now, you have been kind of, you're old and bold enough now, shall I say, to be able to see these similarities. So you'll be seeing service people. You've been connected with me for a little while now, so you'll be seeing some of the stuff that's going on. What are the similarities, or the things that are different that you're seeing between police and service people? Is that apparent? Is it obvious, or is everyone the same?
No, there is actually a lot of similarities, because I hate using the word, but it's basically that we're institutionalized to a degree of, we want to stay in the military, want to stay in the police, but ultimately it's not for us anymore. But it's because we've been with these services for so long. It's like, where do you start? What do you do? Last time I wrote a CV was when I was 19 years old. And that was over 20 years ago. So you get the gist of my age. But it is very, very similar with regards to military and police, because we do have those certain mindsets that basically do want us to kind of stay, but just for reasons beyond, sometimes it's beyond our control, that we just can't stay anymore, whether it be for family, whether it be for PTSD, whether it be for other reasons. So there's lots of reasons out there why we don't want to stay anymore, and it's just not for us. But like you say, the problem is what's our transferable skills? Where do we fit in with the private sector? And that is one of the most difficult parts. Now, the difference between policing and military that I found is there is a lot more for military out there. for companies wanting to take on military veterans, and help and support you. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm all for it. But I do wish that they would also open up to police and emergency services, because I do think we have very similar skill sets in the fact that we problem solve, how we communicate and talk to people. There's not everybody in the private sector that's got the necessary skills that we have that can deal with conflict, for example. We deal with it on daily basis, just as the military can do as well, especially when they're overseas and things. And you're never going to get that in the private sector. So our skills actually are massively transferable, but it's just seeing that from your own perspective. And I think that took me a while to see. Is how I fit in, and how can it's changing your language as well. We all have, your military will have exactly the same, is we all have our own little speeches and acronyms for certain things, codes and things that we use, but how do we translate that into private speak? I had no idea. I had not a clue. So it's getting that help and support, and I know you're doing a lot of that as well, with regards to trying to help us and get us ready for the private sector, which is massively needed, because it is a massive mind adjustment. It is changing your mindset as to how you were thinking to what you now need to think about. It does take some getting used to, and God, it took me months, but you can do it. It takes time, it takes practice, and it's getting yourself out of that mentality from the military and policing side into a private sector. And once you've done that, you'll be rocking and rolling.
Hunter mentality. I think it's interesting. When I look at the similarities, speaking to Andy, so the collaboration, for those that don't know, is going to be between the Blue Light Leavers and the FTG, because there's massive similarities. But of course, we've got to stay in our own lanes, which we're going to start talking about soon. But I find it really interesting, the lack of support that you guys get, actually funding and all these things, because in the military, we think we're done, we're done over, or we're hard done by. But when you look at it compared to what you guys get, it's massive. And I can really see a need for some kind of fund to be brought in, and some alignment to how military people leave, because if these people are the same, and then you get all of this help and these people get nothing, well, there's a problem here. And that's what me and Andy will try and solve together, and where I can probably bring a lot to the game for you guys, and of course on the reverse. And if we work together, we're just going to create more options for the end, which is where we're trying to go with that. But the funding piece is a problem for you, isn't it?
Yeah, so that'd be amazing what you and Andy are discussing. It really would be. So obviously military get a lot of courses. They'll get your, I don't know what you call them, but you get like points system, don't you, to be able to go and do a load of courses for when you leave. We don't get anything like that. Once you leave, you leave. It's pretty much kind of out of sight, out of mind. There's not much in the way of help for any PTSD or mental health issues. You generally have to go through and ask for help and support yourself, and go for like Police Care UK, and the free ones that kind of help us. Otherwise, it's your GP. The police service don't want kind of nothing to do with you once you've left, unless you're kind of within the service, which is a shame, really. But no, we don't get anything. If you leave, you don't get anything for transitioning out, anything to help you. It's literally, once you leave, you leave.
And some people might argue it's a poison chalice to get that leaving piece. We've got, or the military's got, what's called CTP, CTW, which I'm sure you've heard of. And that's a difficult place to manage, because you've got vast amounts of people leaving, and everybody kind of wants that perfect ending. And of course, that's not going to happen. We see ourselves at the FTG a bit of an extension of that, and we would tell every single person to go through that, and then come out the other end and start to work out kind of where it is you want to go, and use different trains on different tracks. But you guys haven't got that. I wonder what would happen if in the military you got out and you just switched off. I think you would find a lot of problems, just, exactly what, what you're talking about. So we really should thank our lucky stars in the military that we have that program, because I don't think there's many companies in the world, organizations or businesses, that will ever give you 12 months to look after yourself before you actually leave and go somewhere else. But
no, but I think that's the main reason why a lot of officers stay longer in the job than what they actually want to, because it is that part of we have no idea what to do next and how our skills fit into something and how to even write a CV. So you start off from scratch, you start with a bit of research, but a lot of the time it's kind of hit and miss as to whether you get something. And then obviously it becomes in more of the imposter syndrome, especially when you start getting your CVs and your knockbacks, because you then think, well, if I'm not getting accepted for anything, I'm never going to get anything. So therefore you just stay in the job even longer, even though you're not happy.
All these problems are the same problems, and it's as if by magic I sit with thousands of people who are all going through the same problem. Lots of people say there isn't actually a problem when you're leaving, well, there's thousands and thousands of people saying there actually is. So there's a problem there, we need to solve it, and that's what we're trying to do. And it's great to see Andy coming through, and I think there's going to be some great similarities and really great collaboration. I was with a company last week, and I was presenting to them on all of the success we'd had with this company. And I said, I can extend this, because they were saying, listen, we need more, the need's greater. And I said, well, pretty soon I'm collaborating with some company with blue light leavers. I can bring police officers into this, and they were really excited about the kind of chance to be able to start meeting people like that, getting them through the systems. And so these opportunities are going to be there. We just need to kind of get it out there.
And I think that's the good thing with LinkedIn is it helps to bring these opportunities arise to a lot more of a bigger network. But it is literally, you do need to do the networking on LinkedIn to be able to have a look at these opportunities and see them. And I think that's what a lot of cops are afraid of. And it's trying to engage with them and say, look, don't be afraid. You're not going to get into any trouble just by networking on LinkedIn. It's just be careful what you say.
I love that. I love that word, cops. I'm always too scared to say it. I keep thinking I'm American or something, but I love that word, cops and robbers. It's amazing. But you touched on it before, the Project You, Project Me guide. You said you looked at some of this and seen the different things, the skills and things like that. Would it work for blue light leavers?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I actually went there. I ended up with doing a bit of a coaching type of session. So I ended up paying for it myself. And a lot of the stuff that was on yours was some of the stuff we did in the coaching session.
All right.
So it was basically because I hadn't a clue as to what I wanted to do when I left. And you just kind of stabbing in the dark. So your work that you've got there was actually very similar to what she told me to do, to try and figure out what I wanted to do. So it's spot on, which and does work, which I paid for.
Not with the FTG, by the way, for everybody.
No, not with you. It was long before I met you. That was last year. So it does work. It is thinking about your skill set, what you enjoy doing, what you don't want to do anymore. So mine was definitely night shifts. Don't miss those. But for like what I did enjoy, I enjoy problem solving, communicating with people. And it just helps to bring about your skill sets as to what job roles as well are best suited for you. So no, that is absolutely spot on. What you've done, it is absolutely brilliant. And I paid for it.
Well, I always give my friend Andy Moss a bit of a mention here. He works in the NHS, and he's doing a great job. The booklet actually came from the NHS, and we were allowed to massage it into an FTG one, Forces Transition Group one. So what we're looking to do is, as it settles and people start feeding back information in, we're just going to start adding to it. And we're not going to fill it without ads and gizzits and sell me this and sell me that. It's just going to be pure things for you to be able to go through and personally use. as a bit of self-belief and self-coaching. So, I guess we know what your favorite part is then. So, trying to work out where you don't want to be, where you do want to be. I like that. But we'll finish on the 3 golden nuggets. So the 3 golden nuggets is a part in which you can leave a legacy. If you were going to be in somebody else's shoes and you were going to tell them exactly or the best 3 things to do that would create their success, what would they be in transition?
God. Start connecting on LinkedIn as early as you possibly can do.
Network, yeah.
And include, and I always put you guys on this as well now, is obviously, especially if you're a cop, start connecting with the blue light leavers. And I also add you into that now for the forces transition group. Get yourselves connected with those, because there's a wealth of information on both of your sites that are massively helpful, and very supportive as well, especially if you're still not sure about what you want to do. And my legacy at the moment is I'm still trying to help people as much as I can, especially cop wise, do the transition into new roles. So I try and help Andy out as much as I can.
Paying it forward.
Yes, very much so, because I know there's a lot out there that are just not happy, but we're in the same boat of not sure what to do. So still in the job years later, because they're still in that same boat and they don't know how else to look at it.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. So the network's the first one. What's your second?
I would probably say, like I say, link in with them, listen to the podcast for yourself and for the blue light leavers.
That's
And
an interesting one.
They are very, very handy. They are. I found a lot of people don't like reading stuff, so podcasts are actually very handy. Because you can do it when you're in the car, you can do it when you're walking the dog. And they're always very informative. I know Andy has got a lot of stuff around CVs, CV write, how to write CVs, doing interview preps and things as well. And obviously you've got a lot of documentation and stuff as well for your side. So that information is always valuable, especially when you're starting from scratch.
Absolutely. Podcast is an interesting one. We do ours. We do most of our stuff, although we do some live things over social media, because it just makes it accessible for everybody. If you're driving home on a Friday afternoon and we've got an online job fair on, your perfect job might be sitting there. If you miss it because you're driving, that's not great. So you can Bluetooth it to your radio and you listen to everything that's going on. I know I'm not saying that you watch your phone whilst you're driving. Clearly not in this forum anyway. But
that's what I love about the virtual fairs as well, is because no matter where you are in the country, because a lot of companies now are hybrid or remote working as well.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter where you are in the country. You can get to one of these job fairs, and you can go and actually start networking and having a look at what's around you and seeing what you fancy. And like I say, you can then, from what I gathered from the last one, is you then do a documented list with details on afterwards that you can access, so you can reach out to those recruiters from those companies. So I thought that was a brilliant idea.
And we'll welcome as many police on that as want to come on it as well, but that'll be something hopefully we can push with Andy as we work through this. And your third and your last one must be the best one.
I don't really. I think if I had to say anything, it's get your mindset sorted. Because your mindset, even though how bad it can be, no matter where you are, whether you're in the military or the police, we know how stressful it can be. We know how bad it can be with PTSD. And I think when you are transitioning from those areas into a private place, they want somebody who's going to, I'm trying to put the right wordings in, but they want somebody who's going to be upbeat, who's going to be positive thinking. So I think that's one thing that we do need to kind of try and be, because we're in military and because we're in police and because of all the things we see, it does bring your mindset down as to God, another domestic violence call, or
Mm.
another suicide, or murder, or stabbing, or it goes on and on and on. And it just brings your mindset down. And I know that's half the time why we want to leave the police. And it's difficult when you don't have that new job role set up. But they want to see the positivity. They want to know that when you come into this job role, regardless of whether you've got PTSD, I have PTSD, that you are going to bring in some positivity with you, and that you want to improve things, that you want to meet the team, that you want to build a good team with a good morale in there. So that's one thing I would say is try not to bring all the negativity from the military and the police in with you, especially when you go to those job roles and those interviews. And when you're meeting those people, try and bring the positivity back into your life that you know you want, which is why you're leaving. So that's probably one thing I would say.
Yeah,
Sorry.
fantastic. What a great way to end on positivity. What I do is I do a little picture here and I work out what it is you're actually saying, and you know, to break it down. And what you've really said is understand, link, listen, and mentality. So
Yeah.
fantastic, and all through positivity and a happy smiling face. And what can go wrong then? But you know,
nothing, but there's always something.
absolutely, absolutely. But Joe, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here. I'm sure we'll do some more work, and I'm sure you'll be involved in a lot of things we do moving forward, because I know that you do stuff for Andy, and we look forward to all that happening. But you know, thank you so much. I understand how busy you are. We spoke about your job before this, and I understand what's going on there, and there are lots and lots going on. So, given your time is really precious, and you know, I thank you so much for leaving your legacy. And I've got no doubt we'll see much more of you in the future.
No,
Stay
thanks for
safe.
having me,
Take care.
and thanks very much.
Speak soon.
Bye.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that's Project You, Project Me. Thanks for listening in. But remember, we have a Project You, Project Me guide to self-coaching, to self-belief, and it can all be downloaded on our website. We also do the 5 fundamentals: CVs, professional writing. We do brand, we do CPD, making sure you're going in the right direction. We're also looking at your elevation, giving you 2 times the chance to set up your interviews before your first actual interview. And also we look at your financial plan, massively important for your future, for you and your family. So why not come along? Have a look. What you got to lose? It's all free. Stay safe.